So we have started book 2 of this book series that doesn't have a name. Desolation called Peace, book 2. The first book was A Memory Called Empire, of course, by Arkady Martin. First thing I gotta mention, the second book, it's the same dimensions and everything, but I don't know if you can tell, but like this one's a matte finish and this is a gloss finish, which just bothers me that the two are not the exact same. I prefer the matte, it looks better. The gloss is like, it's gloss, right? Anyways, so this is probably going to be a shorter section because it's only the first 4 chapters. I was going to read a couple more chapters, but I came to an interlude, so I thought, good time to stop. So to sort of recap, I guess I don't want to recap what happened last time, but there is Teixcalan, the big empire. There is this alien empire species, whatever. They're currently at war. Because they're at war, they're leaving Lissel Station alone, which was the plan of the counselor for pilots this whole time. Actually, or maybe it was the counselor for miners. Anyways, Mahit Zamar, or Zimare, she's back on Lissel Station. There is some politicking going on. She's hasn't told anyone what happened, which seems kind of crazy to me, and the fact that she has the imago of 2 different versions of Iskander in her. She hasn't mentioned that to anyone, and this is, I think this is 2 months after the end of the last book, and she is approached by the Counselor for Heritage, the one who sabotaged the original imago, and he's sort of demanding, or she's demanding, that Mahit submit to not surgery, maybe surgery, but have her mind sort of uploaded or have her imago backed up, whatever the case may be. When she goes under the knife, they'll find out that she has this weird double Iskander in her that she shouldn't have. There's also the issue that she was sabotaged, so she doesn't trust the heritage minister. Anyway, so she tries to get friendly with the counselor for pilots, and that ends up bringing in the counselor for miners, and they know that the heritage counselor performed the sabotage, and so they want to, there's some conflict brewing there. I guess that's sort of the long and short of it. Meanwhile, in the Empire, 19 Ads is emperor now. We don't really see her. We see her a little bit in a scene with 8 Antidote. So we do get some 8 Antidote perspective, which is interesting. It seems like the events of this book are going to take place elsewhere, presumably in sort of a weird space battle against these aliens. But we still get an 8 Antidote perspective back in the heart of the Empire, which I'm not really sure what to make of yet. He seems to be friends with the undersecretary, the 3rd undersecretary for the military, the 6 at Reaching Palms, specifically the East, which is like connected slightly to the information. A spy master, basically. The sort of spy master has taken an interest in 8 Antidote. And yeah, I'm not sure where that's going to go, but it's obviously must be going somewhere. So that's another thread. Yet another one is the actual military conflict on the edge of Teixcalan space, with these alien ships coming in, and we have 9 Hibiscus, who's the Yautlek, I think is the term, the sort of, not just the fleet captain, but she's our fleet commander, but she's the sort of the military head of these many fleets that are in this engagement. And we find out, I guess we find out through, we are getting some background on her through Eight Antidote back at the Empire, that she sort of pulled a crazy maneuver that sort of broke some codes, but or some laws or protocol or something, but ended up having the effect of solving the issue without very much bloodshed, and it was sort of a genius move. But in the words of the sort of spy master guy, that they promoted her and quickly sent her off to die. So that's where she's currently at, supposedly supposed to die, but she's not going to die. So she's being very cautious about approaching this alien force. They've had no contact. They don't really know anything about these aliens yet. And the fleet commanders that are under her, because she's sort of new, they are plotting against her to a degree. They're questioning her. So she's trying to deal with that at the same time that she finally comes in contact with these aliens, one of their ships. She destroys the ship. As she does so, it sort of leaks out this viscous fluid that latches onto one of her fighters and eats through it, and starts to kill the pilot inside, but she orders to actually fire on her own fighter to kill him or her. And she did end up destroying this enemy ship, but they managed to intercept one communication via their scout ship, and the communication seems, I mean, it's alien. It's very alien. It doesn't seem like a language, which it isn't. I'll get to that. So, 9 Hibiscus sends back to the Empire that, hey, we need someone from the information ministry. We need sort of a spy type, someone who can help translate, communicate, somehow learn something about these aliens. And who gets this message but, of course, our friend 3 Seagrass. She gets this message. She's 3rd Undersecretary in the Information Ministry. She could have, it says, she, at her position, she could send anyone to, she has the power to order anyone to go take up this message, take this message and take up this responsibility. And so she does. She orders herself to do so. And so there's a chapter of her sort of jumping through Teixclon space and then eventually outside Teixclon space, getting to this the region of this battle, which passes through Lacelle space. So it seems to me she's going to stop at Lacelle Station and pick up Mahit, who she misses and she hasn't spoken to in 2 months, or at least hasn't seen in 2 months. So that's the trajectory I see, is her getting Mahit, and the 2 of them joining 9 Hibiscus on the capital ship and trying to communicate with these aliens. But we still have whatever's going on with the 8 Antidote and the spy master in the Empire, and we also have the issues and politics of the Cell Station that I don't imagine will get left behind if Mahit leaves. So they'll either have to resolve or carry over with Mahit, or maybe Mahit just stays at Lizelle and doesn't actually go with 3 Seagrass. I don't know, early days, we'll see. And then the final thing is, in the prelude and this interlude, we get a perspective from these aliens, and it's very interesting. It's very well written, I think, to describe aliens these aliens who don't speak a language. In fact, they describe themselves as non-language speakers, and they describe themselves in contrast to humans who do speak a language. So what we know about these aliens is they seem to be a sort of a hive mind, but they do have individuals that have individual tasks, individual specialities. They are a starfaring society. There's mentions of dirt homes and blood homes and void homes. I think void home is like outer space. They're dirt homes. Are there planets they've conquered, and Bloodhomes are their sort of original planets or something to that effect? I'm not really sure yet. But I thought what was very interesting, which especially in this interlude, is how they described that they would consume the bodies of their own dead in order to gain their memories and their skills rather. I think they sort of have shared memory because they are sort of a hive mind. It says they don't speak, they don't have a language, they sing to one another. They describe themselves as those who sing, the singers, or something to that effect. And they can, there's a consumption of the dead. They describe themselves as meat. Our bodies are meat, and we are meat, but we are more than meat, but sometimes we are just meat. And if sort of the mind dies and then the bodies remains and recycling meat. Anyways, it seems there's a sort of cannibalism that seems to preserve something of that, not individual, but that part of this species that would otherwise be lost. Anyways, I'm saying all this because it reminds me very much of stationers, the Lizelle stationers, who, if we remember in the first book, when Mahit goes to Iskander's corpse, she describes their not burial ritual, but their ritual is to cremate the corpse and then have their successor consume the ashes, or at least part of the ashes or something. So there's a similarity there in culturally. Also, the stationers have a continuum of memories through the Imagio system, which these aliens, I think in the prelude, mention that there are these other creatures who do not sing. They are individuals. They speak in language, describing the humans, but there are some of them that do sing to a degree. They are, when one dies, they're not totally dead because they carry on through. They're describing the Imagio lines of the Lizelle. So these aliens are aware of the stationers and how they are different from the other humans, and their differences make them more similar to these aliens. And I think that's how we can see Mahit finally communicating with them. I think that's where this is going. But the interesting thing that I took from the sort of cannibalism ritual and the continuum and what have you, a continuum of memory, is that maybe Lizelle culture was influenced by this totally alien culture at some point in history. I mean, they seem to be relatively near each other through one of the jump gates. So maybe way back, who knows when, there was some sort of a sharing of culture. It seems crazy, but the similarities are just too great to ignore. So that's sort of something I've jumped on, and something I'm paying really close attention to going forward, is the similarities between the stationers and these aliens. So yeah, I'm enjoying it immensely. Just getting started. A lot more to go. Yes, that was chapters 1 through 2 and including 4 of a Desolation called Peace. We will continue.